Pretty much it was a small project, but we learned a lot, and it was lucky. Let's say we are lucky that we learned a lot on a small project, and that our first failure was basically for small project like that.
We all know how organization is important to company. It creates the framework needed to reach a company's objectives and goals. But while accomplishing organizational things and working on projects, how to take care of employees. To find out how, stay with us and listen what Reyhan and Sandy have to say about this. Hello, Sandy. Hello, Reyhan. Thank you for being here with me again. Nice to have you. Are you in good mood today?
Yeah, it's good to be here, but I'm a bit, again, under the weather, so you'll have to excuse my voice.
I will.
But I'm glad to be here.
As always, prepared
Nice.
and ready.
That means that you are ready for my questions.
Yes.
So in the last episode, we talk about at the end of 2021. And in this episode, I want to focus of first and second quarter of 2022. So in the last episode, we also talk about how you were looking for clients. But in this episode, I want to talk more about projects and how was going with them. So I know that first official project of Sunray was collaboration with DataC. So can you tell me more about this project?
Okay, maybe I can talk about the how everything came to be, and then Reyhan can take over and tell you a bit about how it went. So we've had this sales pipeline that we kind of set up, hoping to get like a new way of getting projects, because Reyhan and I were too busy to go looking for them ourselves. And so we were quite surprised that at some point it actually worked. And then we had a client reach out to us with a simple little site that needed some intervention from our side. And I think that's all that's interesting to mention about that. Yeah, maybe you can take over.
And that first client actually lasted for a month and a half. So the scope of the job was not too big, really. It was like small website for them. They were doing the rebranding and part with a lot of animations and stuff. And they also, while we were in negotiation with them, they also somehow took few other agencies, and they tested few of them. And our main problem with them, we managed to finish the job for the website, and our main problem there was basically the communication with them. We didn't have any kind of official communication. We were struggling there, asking the questions, and even the QAing process and the back feedback from them was not on time. So pretty much it was a small project, but we learned a lot. And it was let's say we are lucky that we learned a lot on a small project, and that our first failure was basically for small project like that. And we learned a lot of out of those mistakes. We immediately made let's say our own retrospective, what we could do better for the future, how we are going to handle the communication with the clients, with the persons who are responsible on the other side, how we can, if they do not want or they do not know how to properly communicate, we need to be prepared also for that kind of scenario. Also, what we saw as the problem was the organization of work itself. Also, we were not, let's say, offering our side for the organizing part, but the organization from the other side was not, let's say, in a good level, and that caused from our side also some mistakes which we made, obviously. But the good point is that we learned at the end a lot in that month and a half, and that that failure was actually a big plus for us.
Our communication and, as you said, organization, the only ones challenges faced during the collaboration with them.
Yeah, and let's say our small dose, it's not fear but excitement of first client,
Right.
Having it. So that's also one kind of factor there. And what also would be nice to add here is basically that somehow we also we gave even much hours than we needed to give there. We wanted to push it to succeed it, and the other side even was not, let's say, too open for us. They even told us that this site is not good. We are not going to use it or whatever. And the win for us was that they used that site for almost a year, the work which we provided to them, and they did again new rebranding and then fixed the site. So yeah, so the positive thing is, yeah, the job was done, but the collaboration itself was not from both sides. Both sides were not satisfied with that one, and nobody from both sides tried to push, let's say, to organize that one. I tried at the end, but it was too late. In the last 2 weeks, I tried to push something to organize more meetings, to be more clear that we involve that person from DataC into the organization with the developer also from our side. So that at the end, the win for us was that they used that site, that the work which we provided was used at the end. And it's a lesson, nice lesson, and not too expensive lesson for us.
So as Rehan points out, we were given hints since like day one that they weren't really open with the communication and they were hiding things. But in the excitement of having a first client, we kind of overlooked those and decided to plow through. And then that's where these extra hours and everything else came through, because we really wanted to make it work with our first client. But in the end, I mean, we've done our best. And as Rehan points out, we learned that sometimes we also, even if the client doesn't know how to communicate to us, maybe we should also educate them and help them there too, because that's also a part of our job. So that's a lesson that we learned there as well. And I think we've done a lot better with all our other clients because of that. So yeah, I think it's a plus as well.
But how you as a company recover from that failure, let's say?
Easily. We grasped the feedback. We knew what we are not going to repeat next time, and focus on the work, back to your tracks, let's say, to your plans. And we knew that something is already in pipeline. Yeah. The MediaOcean was there in pipeline. We knew that something new will come up, definitely. We just need to keep hard work and keep the course properly aligned, so that something will come after that one. Yeah, it was a bit demotivational, especially for me and Ahmed, and Sandy was also providing us assistance for the things which we couldn't finish. But it was a bit that week was, let's say, demotivating. But after that one, we moved our focus to hard work and persistence, which we mentioned even before, perseverance. Sorry, and at the end, the new clients came.
Yeah. Before a few seconds ago, you mentioned MediaOcean. With that project, we kind of have success because it's still an ongoing project. So can you talk more about collaboration with MediaOcean?
Okay, maybe I can give an intro again. So this is a really old and known client to both of us. We've kind of, at some point in our lives, Rehan and I both worked directly for them as individual contractors. And so we had a really good working relationship, and we built a lot of trust with them. So as soon as we started the company, Rehan was, toying with the idea of us offering MediaOcean our services as a company. But I was reluctant to try that because up to that point, MediaOcean actually didn't do that. They all had like internal developers. They had a few offices globally, obviously, but they didn't really go much for outsourcing agencies. So I was reluctant, but then in the end, I thought, I mean, we might as well try. We can't lose anything. So I set up a meeting, and we've had some also help of our friends that already work and have worked in MediaOcean before. And it was a long process to set it up. And it actually, the entire negotiation, I think it took half a year, maybe even more.
Maybe 7 months.
Right. And then it just came to fruition in May of 2022. So we were like discussing end of summer 2021. We were already in the talks about it. And then finally the actual contract started in May.
What were the main challenges with working with MediaOcean project besides that negotiation with them? How did you overcome it?
Right.
So basically, I can jump in here. We are going to cover this period till 6 months. Sandy gave nice introduction, but main challenges were, as Sandy mentioned, this waiting time, because it's a quite huge organization. They have quite strict policies when working with external clients and stuff. And I assume even Sandy worked for them 10 years. I'm maybe 4.5. And Sandy mentioned also one of our common friends for which he worked before, Nadim. He also played a role, nice role there. And they obviously, as I'm thinking from this perspective, they did some checks on us, on the company, on stuff. And the period was probably they were waiting for the budget for the next year. So the slowness was there. So they promised to us that we are going to sign the contract, but the time which we spent coming to that contract was let's say 7 months, and that were the main obstacles for getting them basically on board.
I guess it paid off.
Yeah,
at
definitely.
The end.
Oh, that,
for all good things, you need to work hard and have a patience and perseverance. So.
So we mentioned DataC, we got MediaOcean as a project, and I know at the end of second quarter, I think in May, we got as well OneCo as project.
Yeah.
June, May, June
maybe.
June.
And I remember that one, if I can jump in, we were like in here in Tershouse co-working space, we were like sitting all around together, and the Nermin, the owner of Tershouse, he was like telling to us on a meal. We were having a meal, I think, together, Sandy, and he was telling to us, "Oh, I have problems with this project. Our front-end developer did a messy job, and we have a lot of bugs there. We cannot find the proper person who is going to jump in. We are, let's say, in a position that things are not quite going well with the client. I'm in a problem," something like that. And I don't know, we somehow jumped into to Nermin. Okay, we have something to offer you. We have a free person on our in our company who is definitely reliable, who can do the job, of course, with the support of us. And basically, that's how we managed to onboard to OneCo. It was sales on the uncasual lunch.
It's not really sales if you think about it. I mean, part of it was, let's get our guys some real work experience, but we were also trying to help Nermin. I mean, if you just think about it, that's the main motivation for.
My point for sales was seeing the opportunity.
Right. Yeah.
But
seizing
we're
it.
not pitching.
Yes.
I mean, we are friends, but seeing the opportunity there to grab it and to help him out, definitely. And even the money was, I think it was not even covering the wage of our developer, but we wanted to help him out and that our guy gets the needed experience on a real project, which was, let's say, win-win situation, which we tend to do by everybody, by employees, by clients, by everybody, to get into the situation where everybody wins.
So basically, in June, all developers has one project to work.
Yes, and the company was in those periods, coming near to May and June, there was a release of our first product. And more focus was going there. And when you are releasing a new product, obviously you need more people to onboard to the ship that we have that we can sail to our intended course. And beside these projects, we were happy because of the projects, especially because of the media ocean and stuff. But the point was we were more focused on getting the saloon out and ready for the release.
As you mentioned right now, saloon. What was preparation for saloon at that period? You should have launch, isn't it?
The launch event was later, I think. When did
June, I think, also.
It was in June. Oh man, that was a crowded month. I even forgot about that. I thought it was like in August or something.
No, it was before.
Right. Yeah, so definitely that involved a lot of preparation. And I'm not sure if you mentioned, we also had a salesperson who was actually trying to pitch saloon to hospitality vendors. And he was also doing a great job with helping with the preparation of the event. But yes, a lot of things needed to fall into place because we've tried to have some influencers here and then some folk that are dear to us, people who we worked with, and also some people from the hospitality industry. We also wanted to have them here and get feedback from them directly. So putting everything together, while at the same time looking at the new project we just started, well, two of them.
We didn't have time to celebrate too much.
That's right.
Now seeing that, definitely. And if I can add to Sandy's here, storytelling, basically three main aspects were for us. One, Sandy already mentioned, was this salesperson where we were thinking that somebody needs to sell our product. The other part was the marketing. We hired outsourced one marketing agency who was doing they were doing the preparation for the together with us with the launch event. We were quite integrated with them and collaborating on daily basis and preparing how we want to go outside. And the third phase was basically to finish up all the development which we needed. There was a tight deadline. We already had 2 pre-demo sessions internally here in Ter's house where we collected the feedback about our app, what should be done differently, some kind of, let's say, first user feedback. We did it with 2 internal demos. And those 2 internal demos gave us some additional work to be fixed before the launch. So we managed to do that one. And after the launch, probably we can maybe speak in the next episode, but it was quite mess, definitely, Sandy.
Yeah, for sure.
And now the point which struck me that we didn't celebrate it too much, the first clients, because of this.
Everything was happening so fast. And obviously, I mean, don't forget that both Rehan and I are still working our regular jobs next to this. So this is just like an additional things that you have to worry about. So like no matter how many hours you have in one day, it just wasn't enough. You always have something left over to do.
Yeah,
and a really crazy period.
And we mentioned this. We realized also that we will need more people.
Yeah,
we will need more people.
That too.
In that time, the salesperson came and Karim, our new developer, and also what is nice to point that he
actually he was onboarded half a designer, half a developer because at the last minute before the launch, he helped us actually revamp Saloon so it looks a lot fresher and cleaner. And so, that's also a big thing that I completely forgot about, and I just remembered now.
That was my point, which I wanted to mention.
Oh, sorry.
Because no worries, it's good. Because also realized that was done in the last minute because we finally got the support of the designer. And there is a maybe funny story which we can mention here about Karim. Karim was meant to be designer for the start of Saloon. But we couldn't agree on some things, compensation and some other things. So we didn't hire him and like an outsourced person. And then at the end, year after, we hired him as a full-time employee, which at the end was the, let's say, really, really nice hiring in the last moment where, as Sandy mentioned now, he also made Saloon website especially better looking for the launch event.
I'm curious about one thing about Karim. how Kerim's hiring process from being rejected as outsource person to be a actually employer of Sunray involved.
So
That's funny story.
it's a funny story, and I can't even imagine what went through his head. So I don't know. But from our end, he was actually, we liked him quite a lot. But one thing that you have to keep in mind is at the time that we pitched him the first time, we had a very limited budget for Saloon because we were trying to fund also 2 developers who are working on it, and we were just doing it from our own paychecks. So it wasn't really a comfortable position to be getting more people. And also we figured that, we kind of asked him to kind of go lower on the price because, we want to have long-term relationship with you. We only thought he was a designer then. We didn't know he did development. But, we needed to get this out of the way. And then in the future, any other project, we would still work with him. And then the price that he actually offered was a bit too high for us. And we didn't want to insult him by offering a lower price because, we had a budget in mind, but it was there was a big discrepancy between that and what he offered. So we thanked him and went the other way. But in the end, I think that, when he came, maybe you can take the other part.
Basically the other way was I had a connection with one guy from previous companies who had like 5-7+ years of let's say UI UX experience, who was, let's say, double cheaper than Kerim's initial offer. And we knew that he has a knowledge that he could also quickly develop us designs, this other guy. And that was, let's say, main aspect why we took this other guy. And then later on, I remember when he came back to company, it was let's say recommendation from Ahmed. Ahmed told us, "What do you think?" I think Kerim is now on a let's say, we were like asking, "Do you have any person to recommend?" He told, "I don't know, I have this Kerim, but he was already here. I don't know if it's polite to again." And we said, let's call him for the interview. We had an interview, and Kerim's let's say university project, which he was doing that for the university, was astonishing, for which he did, and it was like really professionally done by the design and by the coding itself. So
remember last time he was just a designer. Now he's both designing and a coder. So it's a different thing. So
definitely, and as Sandy mentioned while explaining, we know that his personality was definitely fit for us. But at that first glance, we had the budget and we had the other offer, which was better definitely at that moment for us. But thanks to God, we got Kerim later on, and he's doing now also amazing things in company. And funny and successful story, definitely.
I guess destiny.
Yes.
You can call it that.
How did the company priorities and focus change during this period? Because you have project, you had development of Saloon, preparation for Saloon, hiring process, organizational things. What changes contributed to these shifts?
How do you mean? What changes inside the company? What changes did we implement during this period? So we started, let's say, last time when we spoke, we started with we knew that we want the profit share from the beginning, but we wanted to somehow some kind of way of process that people need to earn, obviously, that profit share. So out of that one came the board. Board was, let's say, in those moments, we wanted to shape company together, not just me and Sandy. So the consequences of keeping the employees motivated, that they have a sense that this is also their company, not just Sandy's and mine, and we wanted to give a connotation to that profit share. One of those connotation was the board, where we wanted to include a few persons who are going to be responsible for following things: listening other employees, coming up with new ideas, coming up with fresh ideas, coming up with energy, filling up their energy, motivation to me and Sandy. That we also grasp that one, and that we together, as I mentioned few times before, let's say, create our pathway, and that we together go and navigate to the future. So that was like one of the main aspects. And also we were let's say having monthly meetings. They were at that moment just 2 monthly meetings and few questions. Later on in next episode we can say how that evolved over the time. And also we started at that point with the data C. As we learned, we somehow from that point we started to have in process, whatever we do the feedback, reflect again. Feedback, reflect again. At that point, basically that failure gave us that insight to start doing this one in all things in company which we do. Whatever we do, whatever design, collaboration with people, internal collaboration, whatever we do, we started somehow at this point when we started to get more employees, we started to build a culture. This point was because finally, let's say, some time got spared, that we realized that we need also to build a culture around the company. We built it from the beginning based on our core values, our let's say approach to people, but that started to have connotations basically in this period. Why in this period? Because this period is the first growth bump in the company. And if we were not prepared for this first growth bump, probably we would fail. But we had a nice preparation of one year before that one, and we managed to grasp it nicely.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, up to that point, we were just a company of 4, right? We just 4 of us came in and we started a company, and then Riyadh came, but he absorbed somehow so easily and naturally into Saloon that we didn't really notice that. But now that we are adding more people, like the salesperson and Kerim as a designer and developer, and so this is now significantly increasing the number of people that we need to think about and worry about. And so, yes, it also required us to start thinking about the processes and everything else in the company more seriously. And yeah, that's pretty much what drove the changes. And also the failure was a big kind of wake-up moment for us. And we realized that if we're ever going to learn from them, we need to analyze exactly why the failure happened and what we can do to prevent it the next time. So I think that helped a lot as well.
Yeah, and especially in next 6 months, the organization and everything evolved as I don't know, it scaled really high because of this, let's say, chaotic period of onboarding two new clients. The Saloon was the story, and was the emotions. Our emotions were involved into that one, and we all lived for that moment to be live, because we were spending like a year and something developing that one, trying out the new solutions. Also their organization, when you take a look from the start of the project and near the end, the organization was at much higher level at the end. And we had the first external guys which we together collaborated with the marketing team, and later on we can discuss, but out of that one we now have our own marketing agency, and yeah.
What were your plans for growth of company as well as growth of employees in that period?
So we knew we had a document. Me and Sandy were planning. I don't know if you remember, we were on Ravna Planina. We were doing the financial construction, and we were planning for the next year. Our plan for that year was 10 developers, 10 people, employees inside
including
the company,
us. Yes.
Including us, yes. And we had closed the financial construction. We have also delivered first profit share to our employees. And the goal was basically 10 10 employees, but on organizational wise, we knew that we will tackle that one during the way slowly, as we do always things. And as we get more obligations, more stuff piled up, we are going to then handle that by, let's say, introducing the processes, delegating some of the responsibility to other team members, employees. And even that was, let's say, start at the end of the 6 months that we want to separate, let's say a bit management from the tech, that we have quite let's say strong tech people with the, again, quite strong management organizational people. At that point, the idea was like we are going to go, buckle up into that direction.
How did you that expectations and goals communicate with other employees?
Well, the number of employees was still, it was like 5, right?
At that moment.
At that point, it was 5. So most of us are really just sitting together in a board every once in a while. But even if not, I mean, we were still in the old office, right? So we literally were just sitting across one big table, all of us. So we could just talk during the entire day. And it was chaotic as everything else. We didn't really have any channels of communication that are kind of strict, and any process is set up for that. But we were thinking about it constantly and trying to come up with ways. And Reyhan and I, in this period in particular, because we didn't have the time during the day, we would wake up very early and come have a coffee together. And that would happen at least 1 or 2 times a week. And then we would think and just think about these long-term things that we want to implement with the company. And then once we actually agreed on something and we really believe strongly in it, we would just come to the office and just talk to everybody else there. So yeah, and then it was also one of the things that we used to do, which we don't do anymore, which I'm really I miss that. We would actually we would start very early, because even the cafe that we sit in would open very early. But then everybody came before 9 o'clock, which is when they're supposed to come in, and they would just come and sit on the coffee with us. And so in the morning, we'd pretty much kind of discuss all of these things that are important to the company. And before we even start our day, we would already know, like, we would all be in sync there. But it was just a handful of us, so we could organize like that. But
so out of this one, we can say that open communication, which we tended to implement from the first day one in the company. We were always transparent with our employees, always from the day one. And that somehow grasped with that amount of people, having it there with open communication, open approach. So everything is, let's say, as Sandy mentioned, shareable across the desk or whatever. But later on, when you get more employees, it's hard to always have a moment to speak, to have them all on one place, and to have that kind of communication. But it's nice that we adopted this culture early from the start of the company, and now when we are growing, the other people know that we have this culture by openly saying things, including employees in whatever they want, whatever they like. And we have that policy where we speak with them like what you would like to work on for the next period. If of course the company obligations are at the level where we can support them in that manner. But the open communication is the key for having the transparency, for sharing the news, which the new coming news into the company, and they were included into let's say the clients onboarding, whatever. We as soon as we have some kind of piece of information, they already knew it, and even we wanted some kind of their insight on this part. Board was meant to be that fun also, and people who are not on the board, they also can express their opinion, their feeling, their idea, innovation, whatever. And at least from my perspective, that's one of the key elements which we need to, let's say, grow for the future. This open communication, which is from the day one, and transparency, which we tend to have with between ourselves.
How did employers react to that open communication culture in that period.
We're still getting there.
Yeah.
They're trying, they're doing their best, but obviously they have things that they keep from us. I'm not sure why. We always keep telling them not to, but and especially the people that were there with us from the beginning. I mean, I can't but I think it's still on a lot. I mean, I've changed a few companies. Rehan has even a bit more. I still think it's on a better level than any of these. But it's a work in progress, definitely, because you have to keep reminding people that it's okay to tell you if something doesn't feel not only okay. You expect him to come and bring you bad news, or anything they see that doesn't work correctly, they should point out, because you can't fix what you don't know is wrong, and you can't really always know something is wrong until people tell you that it's making them feel bad or preventing them from doing their job or whatever.
Yeah, and while you mentioned that, also this came up to my mind. I have some kind of, let's say, it's an ability, or let's say, I don't know, emotional intelligence, that I have a moment to catch when some employee is not, let's say, behaving as usual. He has some kind of emotion or emotions on his face, let's say, which are not as usual. So then at that moment we would be reacting and coming up to employee, even if they would not like to say us. But when we come with this approach that we know that something is wrong, they somehow slowly started to open up, even in this conversation.
Yeah.
And later on, this people lead role, which we now have, basically, those at that period, there were foundations for this one, basically, because you need to. We beside the open communication, we really tend to take care of our employees, and when they feel stressed, when they feel tired, we tell them to go home, to get rest. But when we notice, but we also want from them feedback, that they come and say, okay, today is not my day, if I can go home or whatever. Yes, you can go home, get a rest, and you will be better tomorrow at the job, instead of he's, I don't know, down for 3-4 days. He's not benefiting the company, benefiting himself or the client. Everybody are losing. It's better to take a rest for a day or two and come back, and we are again on the win-win-win situation. So at these moments also, that was the point. And beside this one, I need to mention the motivation with this internal project which we got. Also, this internal project, our first product, okay, we have a product now. Seeing from this perspective, it united us in some perspective. We all were working like hell toward that that goal, toward that moment, and the motivation was there, the collaboration was there. We sensed the people were volunteering. I can do that one, I will do that one. They were even arguing, I can do that one, please let me, I will do it, and such things. So the internal product was a great thing from various aspects, which I see now while I'm speaking. Definitely, we knew few of them, but these aspects which I'm telling you now about our community, our culture, our core principles, basically, this product also gave us that part there, and we are going to build them also in the future, definitely. But
sorry, it's definitely more visible in hindsight. I mean, as Rehan mentioned, we knew about some of them, like getting people real experience, and then having something to show. But these came as a surprise to me as well, because I mean, people grew so attached to the project that, I mean, it was an emotional thing to see them, react in the way they did. So yeah, it's a big plus as well.
And to structure that one, it's basically giving them ownership, giving them ownership that they are capable of doing some things, and out of that, obviously, this motivation hype came out, and we did it on a, let's say, quite professional manner for our at least region. So I don't know, it was amazing experience, and it still lasts. We will see. We are hoping for the best at the end, and yeah.
In first 6 months of 2022, was there any, let's say, follow-up process with employees which you used for tracking progress and goals for every person in the company?
Yeah, there was. Basically, we have our own writings. We used at the beginning the Google Docs. We were having each 2 months with the employees sessions where we discussed few just questions. Where are you now? What you would like to do? Is there anything that you would like to pinpoint to tell to us? Are you feeling happy? Do you need anything from us? It was that kind of structure for that moment. As soon as we grew with these a lot of things which were happening in this, let's say, first growth jump in our company, then we realized that we need a much more wider picture around that one, because we have a different variety of personalities inside our own company. But yeah, we had a process. It was not well structured as now, but we had it. We had it every 2 months for each employee, and it was beneficial. We had it from the start. Basically, I can find in the Google Docs from let's say February of 2021. So basically, from the start we had it, but we were not experienced at that moment. As we evolved, let's say, evolved over the time, and that process also evolved. So we had a process, definitely.
We could still fit like all of their one-on-ones, as we used to call them then, into like a single day. Like we just, we'll take one morning and talk to everybody, like just, in order, because it's just didn't make sense to have some elaborate schedules, and it could just, we have this day, we have a few hours free. Okay, let's touch base with everyone. Sorry, go ahead.
And sorry, Sandy, for interrupting you. The idea around this, let's say, follow-ups was the growth plan itself. We didn't have it as a big scale at that moment. Later on, when you came to company, you helped us to wide that part more. But we knew from the start that we want to build up like employees technically, but also personally, because only with those two let's say types of growth we can achieve what we want at the end. That we have accountable employees, that we have long-term relationships with our clients, that we deliver super nice and reliable products at the end, and that we are capable of doing great things and building up great things. So it was from the start, let's say, that growth mindset, but it evolved. We grew like a company and personally, and it evolved. As I also told you now, this was like first growth bump, and on each bump we are coming up with the new processes, new people, obviously, new ideas, new creativity,
new set of problems.
Set of problems, as always. Yeah.
Which innovation or experimentation you achieved in that period? Any?
How do you mean innovation? What, with the processes?
And innovation as process or project? Anything?
Well, we tried with sales, and then that helped Rehan understand that the sales would not be the way to go for our projects. I think that's a big one to notice.
No, basically, if you remember, I was against the sales always.
You did?
Yeah, it was your idea that we try out with the sales. But because why I wanted to ask to mention this one, I had a lot of interviews in my career, and I learned a lot there. And our interview process is a bit based on those interviews. And even if you remember how we moved away from this sales, at some point I told it's time that we cut off this one. We tried and stuff like that. But for me, the what we learned, that we need to be reliable, trustworthy, and let's say authentic partner to our employees. Let's build up the products, give them the top-notch people, and let's try to with our relationship and connections, try to build up our strategy of new clients. And
so
at the end,
are you talking about sales as a project?
As
oh no, I wasn't referring to that. I was just talking about going with Saloon with a salesperson. So it's a complete. But I agree with that as well. But,
yes.
But what I was pointing at is that we tried selling directly, and then you realized that it's better actually to do marketing, and then let them come to us.
For saloon.
Yeah.
But she was asking for the company, right?
Yeah.
Well,
for
it's
the company
an
level.
experiment that we've done in that period. So
Yeah, definitely.
So, yeah.
The experiment was the salesperson for selling
Yeah.
our own product, and that experiment failed. Even the person who was working as a sales was a nice person, was an energetic person. But let me finish this idea, which I had in mind for previous conversation. We realized for the sales strategy for the company, we realized that we want to build up a company, let's say sales pipeline based on our own connections and experience, and to keep up the quality of work, to maintain it, so we can easily then grow in that direction. That we realize that we do not need basically salesperson. And what else we realize, that we don't want to cooperate with any kind of client. We learned that on the first client.
Yeah.
If that client is not fit for us, then why to lose, let's say, month or 2 or 3, which we can spend on some other thing inside our company, and to grow in some kind of direction there. So we realized that one, and learned that client has to have some kind of core values which we share.
Definitely, yeah.
And that we are going to build up our sales pipeline, company sales pipeline, with the recommendations and doing the great job which we can deliver with together, all of us together. And that was, let's say, some kind of not aha moment, but the realization that we want to go in that direction, strictly in that direction, nothing else. We don't need sales or whatever. We are going to build it up like so. And we it was hard selling company at those moments. I was having also some kind of interviews with the people, and it was hard at those moments also to sell a company. You were becoming basically to make a deal, but no, you have to, let's say, be 3 separated persons who are working for us, not like agency between us. That was like also kind of hard discovery, but
it was also a period of COVID, and freelancers were kind of the thing then, because everybody started working from home, and then the freelance community exploded. And so the companies were just used to dealing with freelancers. And for some reason, they were, as soon as you mention you're an agency, they would run away. I mean, I don't know why. It's just, we were literally giving them the same rates and everything, but they felt that like it was some bigger commitment or something. So yeah, it was a really challenging thing to sell a company in that period. But what ended up paying dividends is that we just just drew from our strengths, which is the connections that we already had, and we just looked there, and we were able to secure a project, which was our first, like long-term stable project, and then everything else kind of just started falling into place after that. So.
And we had the patience, I can say, definitely, Sandy,
and
by not coming too early in some of those negotiations. We came always at the perfect moment. Perfect moment, speaking out of that we as a company are ready, and that client can trust us with what we want to offer at that moment, even when we waited 5 to 7 months. And also there were also some waiting with other clients. It's not like, okay, let's make a deal, we start tomorrow. No, that's a process which takes sometimes a month or 2, sometimes even 7. And those also things which we learned during this period. Be patient, it will come.
There's your perseverance again.
Yes, definitely. Definitely.
There are many lessons from this period. If I can ask, what about financial planning in these 6 months? Were there any significant changes or updates in this area?
We had, as I mentioned on the Rana Planina, we had financial construction of the previous year, and obviously we planned this year. Also, how much do we need for the equipment, for the, space, any kind of expenses for the employees. And when we took, let's say, our first client, we immediately know that there is some free space to employ new persons, new people, to onboard them. And that's how we do it. We plan, let's say, a year ahead. There are some quarterly plans which you want to achieve. And Now it's on a much better, much even more transparent level, much more well documented. And as Sandy mentioned, at those first moments, we were drinking coffee in the morning, and we had our own plans in our head. We didn't even need the paper.
Right.
And how much we communicated. Also, we know each other personally, but for the business, we grew at those moments in morning. We started to think basically same. Well, Sandy says something. Sandy already know that I will agree, or the otherwise. And even when we mentioned that before, when we disagree, we always come with a even better solution than anybody of us proposed at that moment. So that was also, you mentioned those coffees.
Yes.
That was also a nice thing which we had, which everybody should have with his co-founder during this pathway.
Especially when it's hard, because then you also get to, I mean, you can't really show that you're tired in front of the employees, but we can complain to each other at least a bit. So, yeah. And also, we always had like 3 projections, this is the worst case scenario that we can imagine can happen. This is like if nothing changes, this is our course. And then best case scenario, this is what we're going to have. And we were trying to hope for, the best, but plan for the worst. So we were always thinking that, let's take the worst case and let's imagine that we lose all our clients. How much money do we actually need to still have so we can pay our employees for 3-6 months? I don't know what the limit was at that point. So they don't lose their job if we lose the client. And so that was there since the beginning.
Yeah, basically, you pointed nicely. First payoff was, I don't know, really, really low for the company, but we left enough money for, I think, 3 or 4 months to be alive. And if we lose all the clients, so that we have time to let's say to cover, to recuperate from that point, and we will have that obviously also for the future, that we have enough time to find new opportunities, which we can definitely find.
No, because if you have that cushion, I mean, you're not forced into bad decisions. You have, if you see that you have to cut something off, then you cut it off. But you know that you have time to find another source of income. So I think it wasn't that important for us, because we also had some luck and skill probably in picking the right clients to work with. But in the case, like if we hit another client like that first one, I think we would have been a lot, sooner to thank them for their, collaboration and just move on to something else, because we still have safeguards in place that, we don't have to do something that we don't want to do.
We made a really good retrospective of 6 months of 2022, but I want to ask a very important question. Were you satisfied with developed culture between employees?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. The company keeps surprising me in a good way.
Yeah.
People, obviously, I mean, starting from myself and then everybody else, we all have our things that are, not always great. But when I look at it as a whole, I have a lot more positive examples and things that surprised me in a good way. So yes, I don't doubt that for a moment.
Yeah, definitely. The culture is a live thing, and it's evolving always as you get more different personalities and people on board. But definitely, I'm also, from my perspective, I'm also satisfied. And the advice is that for somebody who is, if they want to start a business, that they pay attention to these things. And the culture is most visible, let's say, it will be most visible in tough periods. How you behave to your employees, how you behave to them. When everything is positive, somehow you can accept everything. But when you are in a bad mood, bad motivation, whatever, there you show, let's say, empathy. There you show support. There you need to push yourself to motivate the others. You need to motivate yourself, as Sandy mentioned. So at the end, and then to motivate the other ones. And the culture which we implemented is really somehow, from my perspective, great, at least, because I changed eight companies here in Bosnia, and I didn't saw something like this definitely. And I hope that we will maintain it, and not just maintain it, evolve it to a much more bigger dimensions than we can even imagine. And we are striving for that one, and we want to go in that direction. And it's somehow when you take a look, it's a mix of Sandy's let's say Sandy's type of personality and mine type of personality, which is at the end.
But also it's kind of neatly folding in the new young people who also have their things, which we also want to keep, because the company is going to only be attractive to young people if the culture seems natural to them. So it's really important.
Yeah, but the core stuff was by us. And I'm telling you that it's evolving. It's evolving because new people come and they bring their own part of, let's say, something new to the company, which either we are going to accept it or reject it at some moment. So, but definitely it's evolving, and it will evolve as we grow.
No, I was just aiming for the board and everything around that. We want to collect their feedback and how they feel about the company, and then make that a part of our identity as well. Because in the end, it's all of our companies, not just
two of us. Definitely, we from the start, we with the profit share and everything, with the inclusion, with the giving the ownership, we wanted to achieve that one, and then it's easy to enjoy in your work days and work weeks, months, whatever. It's easy then to come to a job and enjoy and be surrounded with supportive, motivational people. And calm in some moment, whatever needed some kind of advices, which are let's say of private nature. Also that's some kind of culture which we try to develop here.
Sandy, Reyhan, this was a really nice conversation, and during this conversation you share with us so many advice. But if you have something to add at the end of this episode, I'm really encourage you to say it right now to our watchers of this podcast.
Okay, I can say. In the first last episode, we told that it's perseverance, right?
Yeah.
That's the one point. The other point is that you, let's say, build a culture which you want to have in your company, which will then definitely let's say make your destiny easier, if you want to say like that. And the main aspect is also that you try to let's say build up something on your own, that you give people option where they unleash their full potential, creativity, ambition, whatever, and that you are ready to be patient, definitely to be patient, and that good things will come at the end if you have let's say positive mindset and positive approach to everything. But patience is I would say in this episode key aspect which we can mention. At the end, that patience gave us now the client which we waited for, and it opened up our to us some new doors which we saw after that one.
So it's a bit hard to add to that, but I'll try. One other thing that I could maybe single out now that I'm reflecting on this entire period would also be flexibility. So this is something, I think we talked about it even in earlier episodes, but we never let ourselves be locked into decisions that we made before. And when we come later to realize that the decision was maybe okay for that period, but we're evolving and we need to have different things, we were really quick to jump and make the changes. And we still do that even to this day. And I think this is another important thing that really helped us during this period. So patience and flexibility.
I cannot agree much more. Definitely, Sandy. I forgot about that part, but definitely that flexibility and to be able to react, to see, and to not hold on your, I don't know, this was my decision or whatever, to hold on that one, just to go to reevaluate that decision and to see to bring up a new better decision for that period. But that's definitely reflection problem solution, okay, feedback.
Yeah, there you
So
go.
we are going.
There you
That's somehow also started to be as a core there, definitely. But nice catch, Sandy.
Thank you, Reyhan. Thank you, Sandy. I enjoyed.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Likewise.
You're welcome.